Over the past few months, it's been nothing but bad news for Disney when it comes to their newest woke live-action remake, Snow White, starring Rachel Zegler. And we've known from the beginning that they would focus on identity politics, that there would be a heavy emphasis on her and her agency, modernizing Snow White. But we didn't know exactly how bad it would be until we heard Rachel Zegler open her mouth, spew all of this nonsense about how she felt about the original, how she hated it, how she didn't respect it, and how she couldn't wait to help fix this movie for the modern era. And with all of that bad press, it's pretty much an assumption at this point in time that woke Snow White will flop at the box office. The real question is, how much money will it lose, and what will the final budget be on this disaster? Well, we're starting to get some clues about exactly how much Disney's already spent on this thing, and it's pretty fucking bad. Initial costs for Rachel Zegler's Snow White film are already shockingly high. Keep in mind, this is a movie that obviously they're not anywhere close to done with yet. If you remember, what kicked off all of the controversy was these pictures that came out of the UK. The pictures that leaked from the set of Snow White that Disney initially tried to lie about, but we called their asses out. They were real. Now, they weren't featuring the actors that will be in the official movie. They were featuring stand-ins because the actors had just gone on strike at that point. But all the actors were there. They were ready to do extensive reshoots, and they were not able to because of the strike. They had to go back home. So this is a movie that's not anywhere close to being finished. They're still doing reshoots, let alone all the post-production effects, all of that shit. Yet we are already hearing that Disney spent over $200 million on this thing. This is wild. A new report that details the initial cost for Walt Disney Company's live-action Snow White film starring Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot came in at $209.3 million. Now, just like we've talked about for a lot of other productions that Disney or Warner Brothers, anybody's done in the UK, they do get an incentive for doing it in the UK. They get a little bit of a rebate, basically. 25% of whatever money they spend in the UK, they can get back. The same rules apply to this movie, but even with that being said, she notes the United Kingdom government has granted Disney a $41 million tax rebate, meaning the net spend so far is $168.2 million. The reason that is shocking is because that's not the number to this exact second right now. The most recent reported numbers that they have are through the end of July 2022, over a year ago. So that doesn't include a bunch of the filming. That doesn't include the reshoots they still need to do. That doesn't include any of the post-production work that could have happened, some already, or will need to happen. That means the budget for this movie, just like so many other Disney productions, is likely astronomical. It wouldn't be a shocker if it goes over $300 million if you've already spent $200 million as of a year ago, before a bunch of filming, before a bunch of extensive reshoots, and before the post-production. I think spending $300 million at that point is almost a conservative estimate. Of course, they would get that rebate. They'd get maybe $50 million rebate and sit at, $250 million total budget. But that is absolutely insane. Because at that point in time, if you assume around $100 million marketing budget, like most of these movies have at a minimum, Little Mermaid had it closer to $140 million, then you're talking about a movie that needs to hit at least $700 million to break even. Does anybody think that's fucking possible at this point? That woke Snow White with Rachel Zegler, especially once the strike ends and she starts actually talking to people again, that this has any hope of reaching $700 million? Little Mermaid needed a little bit more than that. Little Mermaid needed closer to $750 million. It fell $200 million short. There's no way that Snow White, that woke Snow White with the unlikable Rachel Zegler, would have any shot to recover that money. This thing is going to be a massive loss for Disney. We all knew it was probably going to bomb. But now getting these numbers, again, this is coming from Forbes, right? Because they had to file this UK paperwork. July of 2022, they'd already spent almost $210 million. Just think of how high that number could go. This is wild and just really shows what dire straits Disney's in. The fact that this is coming down, the fact that they know this is coming down towards them, they're gonna hit this iceberg with the full knowledge that because they've got Rachel Zegler's back, because they don't want to offend anybody, they're not gonna cancel it, they're not gonna shit can it, they're not gonna Batgirl it. Instead, they're gonna eat a massive loss because nobody is gonna want this. Let me know your thoughts about this in the comments section below. Smash a like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, share this video out there, and I'll talk to you later.